Living in Thailand for a whole year. More than that, actually. So I'm going to talk about my experience living in Thailand for an entire year. If you guys are wondering, I'm walking through Bangkok right now. I'm basically by the Bo Bay Canal. So this is close to the city center, not quite there. I'm on my way home, but I figured I'd take some time to make this video. So it was a couple of weeks before I turned 30 that I decided to move to Thailand. I first stayed in Phuket, and then Chiang Mai, and then went to Bangkok. As well as that, I've traveled to many other cities in Thailand, other provinces, many remote places in Thailand, places where the tourists don't usually go. But I can say that that was quite an adventure, quite an experience. And being over here for a year, I can say that this is a very affordable place compared to most places in the world. It's definitely cheaper than being in the United States. Well, maybe not cheaper for me because I don't get free rent here. But generally speaking, Thailand is a much more affordable place than the US. For things like healthcare, medicine, dentists, food, apartments, pretty much everything. Thailand is much cheaper than the United States. It's much cheaper than most places in the West too. So being here for 1 year, Thailand has changed a lot. When I first came to Thailand, well, it was during the pandemic. A lot of things were shut down. I arrived on Phuket Island and the place was deserted. That was the only part of Thailand that was even open at that time. You had to do the Phuket sandbox. Then after you completed your 14 days of quarantine to the sandbox, you could go elsewhere in Thailand. And during that time, they actually isolated Phuket. They closed off Phuket Island to people in different parts of Thailand. In part because Phuket was well ahead on vaccinations, so they didn't want the coronavirus to be brought into Phuket. Later on, I was able to leave Phuket though after things eased up and I got to go to Chiang Mai. Stayed there a while. The pandemic was a little bit better when I got to Chiang Mai. That was like November of 2021. A few months later, went to Bangkok. It was about 2 months ago that the mask mandate outside had stopped. So you guys can see I'm not wearing a mask, but in Thailand, the coronavirus is taken quite seriously. So most of the time here, masks were required if you leave your accommodation. You might ask, are things better or worse now than they were when I first came to Thailand? Well, that depends. What was cool about when I came here during the pandemic is that there were not a lot of tourists. So in some ways the place was quieter, maybe a little bit more peaceful. There was a ban on alcohol at that time, which might be a relief to some people. Might also spoil the fun for some of you guys. It just depends on who you are. But yeah, now pretty much everything is reopened more or less like it was pre-COVID. You've got all the bars open and booming, the massage places are opened, nightclubs, pretty much all the restaurants and shopping malls are fully reopened. Pretty much all the tour agencies are opened. So yeah, you can do pretty much everything now that you could pre-COVID. And when I first arrived in Phuket, restaurants were open only for takeaway. The shopping malls were closed. Touring agencies were closed. Most massage places were closed. Bars were completely closed, like Bangla Road in Patong. That place was more or less a ghost town. It felt like you were in The Walking Dead. And yeah, things have changed a lot since then. I think everything is back open and booming. But at the same time, it's got a downside. I got many things at huge discounts during COVID. I could stay in 5-star hotels for $20 a night. Talk about that. And now, things have pretty much gone back up to their pre-COVID prices, if not a little bit more, because things do inflate over time. But, yeah. And in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. So, how do I feel about being over here for so long? Well, it's weird, because I have not been away from my family for this long ever. I've gone abroad for a couple of months at a time in the past, but never a whole year. I haven't seen my mom or my dad or my sister or any of my pets for more than a year. And, well, you really miss them. Sometimes you want to go back home, but at the same time, Thailand after 1 year is going to feel like your new home. And of course, if you go back, it might not be too easy to return. I sometimes think about returning to the US, but oftentimes I tell myself it's a bad idea, especially now, with higher gas prices, ridiculously unaffordable healthcare expenses. And then of course, when you drive a car, if your car breaks down, it can cost a fortune to repair that, so luckily I don't have to deal with that in Bangkok. What's it feel like to be abroad for a year? Well, it feels great. It feels like I've really gotten out and I'm on my own. You know, I've got my own life, my own accommodation. I feel really happy. I do miss home sometimes, but I'm really enjoying it here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, give a thumbs up, leave a comment below. Check out these links to some of my other videos. Feel the burn for Bernhardt's World, and take care, everybody.